U.S. trade numbers for March came out today, and they showed a sharp increase in the trade deficit, largely driven by exports, which fell 10%. Still with us is Gene Seroka, who not only is the Chief Logistics Officer for the City of Los Angeles, but also continues as Executive Director of the Port of Los Angeles. And thank you so much for your patience in waiting for us, Gene. Give us a sense. You were starting to go into this in the first hour of Balance of Power. Let's talk about exactly what we're seeing in the Port of L.A. right now with respect to trade.
Thanks, David. With respect to trade, we've been hit twice by both the trade policies out of Washington and now COVID-19 and the worldwide economic slowdown. Both are going to take a lot of time to repair, if at all, on the trade side. But right now, in year 2020, we're seeing about 80% of the normal cargo volume that we would through April of this year.
So, Gene, I'm curious about that because last time we were on together, it was before the pandemic, and I thought you were anticipating maybe a 20 or even 25% drop as you got into the second quarter. Does that mean that the pandemic didn't affect it that much beyond what the trade policy was?
No, it was both, David. And you're correct in the last time we visited in New York. Fourth quarter 2019, we saw volume drop at the Port of Los Angeles by 16.5%. As we entered the first quarter of this year, when I was in New York, third week of February, I thought we'd probably see a 15% dip. It turned out to be about 18.5% first quarter this year. So we're running at about 20% of normal, and it's a combination of both. But really weighing heavily on us right now is the lack of demand by the U.S. consumer. And that's simply because you and I are not out shopping, dining, or otherwise going outside to purchase goods. And we're seeing that in the orders of fast fashion organizations, retailers, and the like. Their orders are either being postponed, delayed, or canceled at this juncture. We've sped through spring fashion. We now have a look that's a little fuzzy around what back to school may or may not be. And then the order cycle will begin to take us towards those year-end holidays pretty quickly coming up.
So what is coming through the Port of Los Angeles? I mean, as you say, we're not having fast fashion and things like that, but at the same time, you're at something like 80% of where you were. So as a practical matter, what is the goods and material coming in and out of the Port of Los Angeles?
Our big box retailers are still strong. So the stores that have remained open through COVID-19 and the emergency orders that have come down federally at the state and local levels, folks are still shopping at those moderately priced, high-volume stores. That's very important to us. We also see a certain level of electronics coming through, furniture, that are all mixed into those outlets as well. Individually, we've seen dips in the automotive market, specifically as car sales are estimated to be down 27 percentage points this year. And on the export side, we're still seeing some semblance of recyclables, agriculture, and heavy-duty machinery, but not to the levels that we normally would.
What is going on with inventories here in the United States? Are inventories building up as people import things but they can't sell them?
Yes. And this is where there may be one small silver lining in this trade policy, is that because of the tariffs, we saw a lot of folks advance their inventories before tariff milestones in 2018 and 19. We were able to build up inventories. In the first quarter of this year and fourth quarter alike of 2019, when we saw shipments dip, we saw a drawdown of those inventory levels at our warehousing complexes. Now we start to see a little bit more of a buildup. So as the consumer goes back out and as the economy slowly opens up at the local, state, and national level, we'll have products available to speed to market.
Gene, is there any way at all for you to project out into the third and fourth quarter at this point, or is it simply an unknown?
It's pretty difficult, but what I would say is this. Some of the experts on the economic side are telling me we'll start to see a little bit more of an opening in economic purchase power first quarter of 2021. If that's the case, we will see modest upticks in cargo moving through the Port of Los Angeles in Q4, meaning October, November, December, to help plan for that. But it's still a little bit early to give you a specific number.
Gene, give us a sense of employment by the Port of Los Angeles, about the Teamsters that are working, the truck drivers and the heavy machine operators. How many people do you employ? How many are still on the job?
1 in 9 jobs in Southern California. More than 1 million people go to work every day with jobs related to this port complex when business is normal. Today, less cargo means fewer jobs. And as we look out at the longshore numbers of shift work, We're down about 17% year on year and 19% compared to the 3-year average of the number of folks who are out on our docks working. With 80% of the volume coming through, it's about a 20% dip in pure truck moves that happen on the terminals every day.
And how vulnerable are those workers to the coronavirus themselves?
Well, the truck drivers get paid by every move they make, so they are right in the line of sight. We've got to continue to rebuild this economy, and we think we are a jobs multiplier as well. So we're continuing with more than $360 million of infrastructure and construction projects, even through cycle. And the work there also means that we've employed about 3,000 construction workers consistently on the job. And that will open us up as well, because once we get back into some semblance of a line of sight on how much cargo is coming in, that'll mean we can bring more people back to work on the truck and longshore side as well. But the safety of workers is always front of mind, and that's whether it be the correct PPE, the face coverings, the gloves, the distance that each guy and lady must be apart when they're working on the tarmac, to the cleaning solutions we've provided. All of that is very important to us as we continue to look at how that worker must go to the job every day.
Gene, really appreciate all your time with us today. It's really good talking with you, as always. That's Gene Seroka of the Port of Los Angeles, and also now the City of Los Angeles, he's Chief Logistics Officer.